Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining this afternoon. My name is Senator Nikki Merritt, and I have the pleasure of serving as chair of the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. And I'm very happy to share our 2025-2026 priorities. As you guys know, we're in the biennial, so it's every 2 years. So this will carry us for the next 2 years. So whatever we don't have of our priorities that we don't get completed this year, we will continue that work next year. And at the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus, we remain committed to policies that uplift Black communities across the state. We are fighting to expand health care access. That is just one of our priorities, pushing for full Medicaid expansion, enhanced maternal health programs, and increased community-based mental health services. In the area of housing, we are advocating for incentivizing affordable options, instituting rent stabilization, and strengthening tenant protections. On the economic front, our agenda supports Black-owned businesses through tax incentives, grants, and low-interest loans, improving workers' rights, and financial education programs. For education, our next priority, we demand equitable K-12 funding, increased support for our HBCUs, expanded scholarships, and a statewide inclusion of Black history curriculum. In public safety and justice, our next priority, we're calling for reforms. We call for trust-based policing, comprehensive background checks, and accountability measures to protect Black communities. Lastly, our advocacy extends to improving environmental justice, expanding and protecting voting rights, and preserving Black culture through dedicated funding for the arts and community spaces. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our caucus whip, Representative Terry Cummings, and she is going to share some more of our priorities. Now let's leave that there. I'll take this with me. Good.
Good afternoon. My name is Terry Cummings. I'm state representative for District 39, which is Mableton and Smyrna, and it's an honor to be the House Whip for the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus. Today is the 27th, of course, the next to the last day of Black History Month, but our priorities are in line with not only Black history, but the future. First, our first priority is health. Everyone deserves access to quality, affordable health care when they need it and where they need it. That's why it is essential for the Peach Care Plus Act of 2025 for this bill to be passed. The bill will advocate for full expansion of Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act. This legislation is SB 50 and is authored by leader Senator Harold Jones of the 26th District. We also must work to combat one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country, especially among Black women, by passing the Health Mothers Act, HB 149, led by Representative Imani Barnes of the 86. With education, the Trump administration's aggressive push for education reform threatens to undermine access to quality education for Black youth in Georgia. Proposals to cut public funding and promote school vouchers risk reversing progress, setting our children back instead of propelling them forward. In contrast, state-level efforts like Senator Derek Mallow's SB 65, which mandates kindergarten for all children before beginning the first grade, and by Minority Leader Senator Harold Jones' SB 54, which establishes a statewide database to track school campus safety threats, serve to strengthen the very foundation that federal and local policies aim to weaken. Now, more than ever, we must empower our Black youth by standing up and fighting for their right for a strong and equitable education. With housing, this is our third priority. And we're clear on this. Black Georgians have disproportionately have been disproportionately affected by race-based housing discrimination for far too long in this state. Under Representative Kim Schofield's legislation, House Bill 135, the GLBC fully backs the push among housing discrimination based on hairstyles, of all things, associated with race or ethnic backgrounds. Not only will this legislation provide further safeguards for potential homeowners and ethnic groups, but will also give all Georgians an equal shot at becoming homeowners at an affordable price. In addition, I'm introducing legislation that will define habitability. And this is important because most states defined it in their housing bills. Georgia did not. And this definition is based on the on federal definition, and hopefully that will be introduced this week. Our fourth priority is wealth. We must always work to create wealth in the Black community because everyone knows a hand up is worth more than a hand out. We build wealth by creating tax incentives, grants, and low-interest loans for Black-owned businesses. We expand workers' rights, protections, and industries where Black workers are underrepresented, I'm gonna get that word right, and overworked. And we fund financial education programs to help build wealth through home ownership, which is extremely important. In relation to that, we do have a bill by Representative Phil Olaliwe, who we actually got to committee, and that would put restrictions on these corporations coming in to buy up homes in Georgia. Even though the natural purchase rate is 3% in the country, in Georgia, the purchase rate is over 30%. Why? Because there are no restrictions to corporations coming to Georgia and just buying up these homes. And when you buy up these homes and you take them off the market and you turn them into rental, you have just destroyed anybody's chance at a first home buyer opportunity. We also have Representative Deshaun Kendrick, who introduced House Bill 8. This bill will renew our state's investment tax credit, remove barriers for investors, and assure transparency in finance. Now I'm turning this over to my friend and our Vice Representative, Doreen Carter.
This is going to be good.
What we going to do with him? Good afternoon, everyone. I am Doreen Carter, and I'm the state representative for Georgia House District 93, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus Vice Chair. So we are really excited that you are here listening, and the GLBC does plan on providing legislation in the following areas as well. In the area of public safety and justice reform, according to the Johns Hopkins University Bloomberg School of Public Health, firearms were the leading cause of death among children and teens in the state of Georgia in 2022. In 2021, there were at least 185 domestic violence related homicides, 75% of which were firearm related. Given this, it is imperative that we safeguard our children through supporting comprehensive firearm programs, such as those laid out in the Minority Leader Senator Harold Jones II legislation, SB 53, on the establishment of an education program on safe firearm storage. Lastly, in advocacy, we must always continue to advocate for expanding voter rights to make voting more accessible and approachable for everyone in all zip codes. Right now, there are people trying to take us backwards, to pull us back, to make believe past that never was. Now is the time to fight to preserve Black culture, because the cuts being sent down the pipe by the new administration will cut funding for the arts, community space, and historic landmarks. We must not cede hard-fought, hard-won ground to the cutters in the White House. We must always look out for the most vulnerable among us, and that means protecting Georgians from the discriminatory tactics of a forcefully conservative legislature. Thank you for your time, and I will turn it back over to our chair, Senator Nikki Merritt, for our closing remarks.
Thank you, Vice Chairwoman Representative Carter, for those remarks, and thank you to our whip, Representative Terry Cummings. In 2025, the Georgia Legislative Black Caucus is staying true to the mission by pushing for policies that tackle deep-rooted issues affecting Black communities across the state. What we've rolled out is everything from health and housing to education, wealth, public safety, justice reform, and advocacy. We are committed to creating a more equitable and just Georgia. Our legislative goals are not just proposals, they are a call to action. And it's time we break down barriers and commit to uplifting our communities and create real opportunities for progress. Together, we are dedicated to forging a more equitable and just Georgia for all, and we continue to live by that mission, which is our mission: legacy in action, progress in motion. You can find out more about our priorities. They will be listed on our website at georgiablackcaucus.org. We will also have our listing of all of our priorities and the legislation available to the media. And with that, I will take questions. Yeah, and I did speak out about, you're talking about SB 120. Yeah, we heard that this morning, and clearly that is an attack on our Black institutions, but just any of our private institutions and all of our schools here. If those of you that don't know about that bill, but it's going to prevent any type of DEI initiatives or studies from being taught or rolled out at all of our higher education, and I believe public schools is in that as well. It's the same type of attacks that we're seeing at the federal level, and it is up to us to push back and fight back on these very regressive policies. I said before, Georgia and Atlanta, we are the center of civil rights here, and I am very disappointed to see our legislature taking up that type of policy. You have a question? Okay. All right, we're going to end. Thank you all for joining us. Good afternoon.